30 children were exiled to space without any adults to educate them. They quickly began to act recklessly, causing chaos on the ship. But Mike, who still had some sense, felt that something was amiss. So he took people to the control room to check the previous surveillance footage. That's when they discovered that the scientists leading them weren't attacked by a monster, but rather Charlie had secretly orchestrated their electrocution. Using the monster story, Charlie attracted a large number of followers. They no longer worked for the ship, only knowing how to consume resources. While Charlie was holding a party, Mike publicly released the surveillance footage. Everyone turned to look at Charlie, thinking they could defeat him. But unexpectedly, he convinced everyone again with lies, falsely claiming that the monster had already mixed into the crowd. Immediately, supporters stood up. People began to suspect each other, and fear spread everywhere. Charlie took the opportunity to single out a man, claiming the monster was inside him. The man quickly became their target, with everyone venting their fear on him. Mike still wanted to stop them, but he could no longer hold back the crazed crowd. He could only watch helplessly as Charlie became the new leader. They collected weapons everywhere, and Mike, who opposed him, was in a very dangerous situation. Annie suddenly remembered that the scientists had mentioned an armory in their diary. With Mike's knowledge of the ship, he quickly found the entrance. But opening the door required a password. Mike accidentally triggered the alarm, which was heard by all of Charlie's men. Charlie brought people to forcibly dismantle the door and confiscate the guns inside. Seeing Mike's situation as hopeless, 2 more people defected. They led Charlie to Mike's hiding place. They were powerless to resist and could only watch as Mike was taken away. Mary suddenly called out to them, angrily venting her dissatisfaction. She was fed up with Charlie's absurd behavior and accused him of breaking the rules. She wanted to keep talking, but Charlie raised his gun. He then pointed the muzzle at Mike, scaring him into quickly fleeing. At the corner, he ran into Annie, who had escaped. The 2 of them panically ran into the cafeteria and found a ventilation duct to crawl into. Charlie searched here and fired directly into it, but fortunately they had already escaped. They had just run into the medical room when David caught up to them. They closed the hatches one by one, but it couldn't delay for long. They were soon driven to a dead end, running into the airlock. Seeing nowhere to retreat, Mike glanced at the spacesuit beside him. He pulled down the tin foil on the wall to cover the windows. Charlie arrived at the door and broke it open with his gun. With his astonishing arm strength, he grabbed Annie beside him. Seeing that he was about to hurt Annie, Mike also pounced. He dragged Charlie onto the hatch, but was then grabbed by the railing. Mike was sucked out of the cabin. Charlie was about to close the hatch when Annie found the right moment and kicked him into space with 1 foot. Annie looked out of the cabin, trying to find Mike's figure. Sure enough, she saw hope. At the last second, Mike had grabbed onto the ship's hull. The crew, lacking a leader, were like headless flies. They put down their weapons and held a re-election. This time, they were more rational, choosing Annie as the new leader. The chaotic ship became orderly again. In the remaining days, they began to reproduce on the ship according to plan. More than 70 years later, they finally arrived at their new home with their descendants.